going to play this particular local event coming from WPSD Channel 6 News that I have been personally engaged and embarked upon by a group of people that I have grown to like and dislike, love, and still care about, even though their lives was separate from mine at the time. And though I didn't understand a lot of the details towards what went on in this particular area until I studied it, I'm going to show you this clip that to me now has become a sad scenario in the Windmill Ministry's life. And I guess the reason why it's become so substantial to me, simply because of me being so close to the people up in this particular area, is because I have known the details of what went on, when it went on, going all the way back to 1988, before LBL turned into what LBL is today, Land Between the Lakes. In other words, I discovered Land Between the Lakes whenever Grand Rivers was just in its development stages, to the point that Grand Rivers, the little town of Grand Rivers, is not and was not what it is today. I stumbled upon to this, being led by the Lord, being guided and led by the Lord, that this is where I want you to plant a sacred site. That's where I began to pray routinely, extensively, night after night, day after day, for a great revival. I had no idea in the late 80s, whenever I first manifested a praying sacred site with an altar in it, I had no earthly idea that the chain of events was going to unfold in my life that was going to affect so many different areas, such as Trigg County, Livingston County, Marshall County, different areas in that area pertaining to towns like Benton, Mayfield, Murray, Aurora, Calvert City, Sevierville. I had no idea that my extensive going to these areas was going to be this substantial, including the Paducah, Kentucky area in Paducah, Kentucky. Now, since I've looked back, I can see the sadness in what has occurred, especially since after the COVID has ravaged our great land and has restructured our priorities in such of a way that it could actually be devastating to the very subject that they're talking about in not only those particular towns, Trigg, Cadiz, Kentucky, Hopkinsville, Kentucky, even down in Dover, Tennessee, Paris Landing, Tennessee, but it could be devastating for the whole surrounding area, because this particular subject that they're going to talk about, before COVID hit, pre-COVID, was maintaining a structure with tourism of about 3 million people a year that was coming to the Great Grand Lakes area and having some of the most memorable, enjoyable times that you could think of, all on most of the time an innocent level. So the feature that you're fixing to see here on Channel 6 is not one that I welcomed, and it's not one that I support in how that the Kentucky legislation has basically cut these people's funds off to a cold drip, to the point that now many people are going to have to sacrifice because of the Kentucky mishandling of their funds. Please watch.
The budget to maintain many campgrounds, trails, and other recreation sites at Land Between the Lakes will be cut to zero by 2022 fiscal year.
So what will that look like for you and your family, the economy and tourism of counties across Kentucky? Local 6's Pauline Fitzgerald joins us now. And Pauline, will most of the recreation areas at LBL be maintained this summer?
For the upcoming season, yes. After receiving documents from the U.S. Forest Service, the 2020 fiscal year budget was $1.8 million. 2021 was cut to $77,000. And by 2022, the U.S. Forest Service is cutting that budget to $0. With no money in the budget, the U.S. Forest Service could cut a lot of places you and your family may plan on going to, like the welcome stations, Energy Lake Campground, picnic areas, firearm shooting areas, the nature station, plus no longer maintain any of the trails. Lyon County Judge Executive Wade White tells me surrounding counties and beyond could take a major hit from a $0 budget at LBL.
In weighing in on what she just said, it's not just LBL that takes a hit like this whenever the economy takes a hit. It, by and large, will be across the board in most all states, where they will back off of their funds in these areas that they consider low priority areas. Now, why they consider these areas low priority areas, I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, regardless whether it's Natchez Trace or other great forests that we have here in the state of Tennessee, as far as state parks and all over the country, these things was developed for our benefit, as far as not just recreation for a bunch of people to swim, play, bike, hike, primitive camp and bring their campers in, but it was there for a reviving soul, so that humanity, if they wanted to, could get back to their original roots pertaining to naturism. And it's really sad whenever the tables turn, that usually most of the time these are the places that get hit first. There's all kinds of places in Alabama, Georgia, that I just adore, North Carolina that I just adore, towards what that they have opened up for the general public. And it's a possibility that all these places could be in jeopardy within the next year or two by getting hit in this type of way. Please listen to what this individual has to say about this particular area.
One of the things that the Protection Act was designed to do, that Senator McConnell had a large part in writing, is to bring in people from the outside that will benefit us as in tourism and in dollars. And when people are told you no longer have good trails, you no longer have things to go to, the facilities are closed, people won't come. They're not going to come and enjoy this area when everything gets closed down or nothing's maintained. So that hurts all of our counties all over Western Kentucky that benefit from people coming to Land Between the Lakes.
White says there's still time to change this budget that is in the works for 2022. Local Forest Service, city, and county leaders are not in charge of this budget cut, but Kentucky state legislators, congressmen, congresswomen, and senators are. White says you can start calling their offices to put the $2.5 million funding back into the 2022 budget for LBL. In the 2021 fiscal year, there was a 69% cut. So I asked the U.S. Forest Service if they could respond to as to why one of the biggest tourism spots in our area had to take such a massive budget cut. And here's what they had to say. At the start of the fiscal year of 2021, we transitioned to a new budget structure designed to improve how we manage our funds. As with previous budget structures, this new structure does not affect the overall level of funds appropriated by Congress. The new structure provides greater transparency to Congress and all Americans in how we manage their national forests and grasslands. We will continue to work with our partners and the public to ensure we accomplish our mission-critical work.
Now, weather.
Well, to me, they're not working with the general public if they're going to cut off the very resources that the general public rely upon towards having those good times, towards being able to self-medicate in areas that some people hasn't never had the privilege of going to these areas and enjoying. You take people in some of the bigger cities, a lot of them have never enjoyed the benefits of nature towards getting out and experiencing and watching the raccoons and the beavers and going fishing and understanding that nature is part of us. And it's really sad, because you're talking about $1.8 million, which is basically a drop in the hat of what the state actually covers in their master fund budget. I mean, if you can spend $100 million on a bridge or $400 million on a bridge, $1.8 million is not that much money, but it could be devastating to the whole economy in that area that's relying upon these type of benefits. You got the recreational camping world, you got the recreational boating industry, you got the recreational other types of people that rely upon tackle and fishing tackle and all other kinds of hotel luxuries and restaurants and et cetera, et cetera. So it can be devastating to the whole initial area if people do not make a comment in regards to what they're doing, not only in Kentucky, but I'm pretty sure if they're doing this in Kentucky, they'll probably be trying to do this in Tennessee, and they'll probably be trying to do this in Alabama and Georgia and North Carolina and other places, Yellowstone and other places too as well. We understand that the country by and large has taken a hit. We understand that a lot of things are going to have to be looked at differently and restructured. We understand that we're living in an era right now to where we're trying to recuperate so that our country can get back on its feet. This is where I believe, this is just my input, my 2 cents, if you want to say, this is where the federal government has to step in and say, you know what, there's lots of areas that we can cut on, and this is one of them that we're not. Simply because the recreational industry has taken a boom just within the past 30 plus years like I never ever would have imagined. Last year alone, the RV industry increased over 42% of people going out and buying recreational campers so that they wouldn't have to go to hotels and lay in a bed and put their head on a pillow that somebody else may have had COVID that stayed there the night before. There's so many more people that has become germ conscientious, not necessarily a phobia, to the point that they want to escape out into the wilderness. They want to get back with nature. They feel like that this has been a draw in their lives that has taken something from them that they can no longer go and accommodate themselves in, especially if these same areas are either going to be shut down or not managed properly. So for those that get a hold of this particular message, we're asking that if you don't mind, please make do in your own personal interest in contacting your local Congress and expressing to them the great gratitude that you have for people that is adventurous in nature and people that feel like that this particular part of this great entity that America has is in fact part of not just recreation, but it is in fact part of revitalization for people to revive, survive, and maintain a certain lifestyle, a certain well-being. If you don't mind, you see, whenever I got associated with Land Between the Lakes, the U.S. Forest Service was not in control of that body. The people that was in control of that body was TVA. TVA gave up its authority in 1999, leading into 2000, towards taking over that particular body. And they have done great leaps and bounds in what that they've done and how that they've done it just within the past 21 years in this particular area that we're talking about. There's been a lot of hiccups from ice storms, from bridges collapsing, from people getting sick, from the economy taking a dump. There's been lots of hiccups. But let's not forget that in LBL alone stands I don't know how many different cemeteries of people that lived there before we even visited there that called LBL home. For the locals in the area, I hope that those that get a hold of this message will do the proper and right thing in contacting more transparency to this particular area that, as far as I'm concerned, what the officials are doing is adding that much more misery to people's lives by pulling away something that's going to affect economically the whole general area. Once more, these are our personal opinions coming from the Windmill Ministries here at 291 Thompson Road, Sharon, Tennessee, zip code 38255. We hold our personal interest in Land Between the Lakes over valuable resources that we personally have dedicated to that area. Thank you for listening. Good luck to all of us as we go forth, and shalom to all of those who are expanding, growing, learning, and being more adventurous in protecting our wildlife resources in regards to climate changes that are happening on a day-to-day level not just here in America, but throughout the planet. God bless and good luck to all of us, and God bless America.